How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Training Camp Podcast. So, like I said, I will be uploading a podcast for Thanksgiving weekend. So this is coming out the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I'm recording this a different day of the week that I usually record. I usually record on Fridays. This is Wednesday, so I'm just kind of taking the next 2 days off to celebrate Thanksgiving with my family. Hope you guys do the same. If you guys are traveling, please be safe. Please travel safe. Especially just everything going on in the world right now with the pandemic and how cases are spiking. Just be safe if you're traveling. If you're not traveling, hey, have a great Thanksgiving. Still be safe. Just because you're not traveling doesn't mean you can't be safe, okay? Don't be stupid. That's not owned by me. Just right off the bat, well, first of all, I'm not done decorating for Christmas, so this is, it's not like, oh, I'm already celebrating Christmas. This was put up like yesterday. So there's going to be more, and I'm just decorating the house and the set for Christmas. So you guys will see a nice little decorated house for the next episode. I do want to get a little sappy for a second. I do want to say that I am thankful for you guys that watch both the podcast and just like whenever I post on the channel. It may not seem like a lot, but it does mean a lot to me. Podcast has not only been a lot of fun, but it's been received really, really well. I mean, again, I don't care that I'm not getting 100 views per video or 1,000 views per video. Like the fact that it just engaged with very well. I look at the analytics and stats all the time, and most of the time, almost everybody sits through the entire podcast. That's 45 to like an hour on average, unless you're Zach and we go for an hour and a half. But you guys sit for that long, and that means the world to me. And also, I'm really glad that I'm entertaining enough where you guys want to sit and listen to me talk for an hour. So I appreciate that. If you guys are new, hey, I got like 11 other of these episodes, so go and check them out. Let's just hop into it. Honestly, we're gonna have a much, it's not gonna be a shorter episode. It's probably gonna be about 40 minutes in my guess, in my mind. What? At my guess, in my mind, it'll probably be only about 40 minutes. We're gonna keep it pretty short. I still want you guys to be able to celebrate this weekend with your families. Also, this is coming out after Black Friday. I hope you guys were safe. Still haven't caught the PS5, so that's GG. Anyway, so first thing I'm gonna talk about. So this weekend, Taysom Hill was named the starter over Jameis Winston, and like honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was part of the group that was like, that was stupid, because like I just didn't know what Taysom Hill was gonna bring to the table. It seemed like Taysom Hill was a very limited. Taysom Hill seemed like a limited version of Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar is already very limited, but like he seemed more limited. I was wrong. I was very wrong. I was extremely wrong. I think Taysom Hill being named the starter was smart. I think one of the things that I wanted Jameis to start for is I was like, he got eye surgery so he can see the field better. That's just that's true. It's also a meme. And like, I also like realized I'm not on the practice fields every single day. Sean Payton is. Sean Payton's a Super Bowl winning coach. He's a Hall of Fame most likely coach. Like, there's a reason he probably picked Taysom Hill. There's a reason they're now 6-0 with backup quarterbacks in the last 2 years. And I think Taysom being named the starter until Drew Brees comes back is actually really, really great. It's a brand new scheme that teams have not been planning for all season with a running quarterback. I'm really interested to see how Taysom. I think this week isn't really like a test to Taysom Hill just because they're playing the Broncos. So I don't really know if this will really show us what Taysom Hill actually is. If this is what he is, then he's still a better version of Lamar Jackson in my opinion because he throws a better ball than Lamar does. He's not like a Kyler level where it's like he's what Lamar wants to be. It's literally just like a tier above Lamar. So yeah, I think this is gonna be a really fun game to watch him against Denver just because Denver's defense is. They're not really good with all their injuries and just with how Denver's been performing this year. So, I mean, Taysom Hill can honestly go off this week, especially running the ball wise. Like, that's just such a – when you're planning for the Saints, you're usually planning for a quarterback who never runs. Occasionally, maybe might get flushed out of the pocket, but you're not planning for that. You're also planning for a quarterback who has a relatively not strong arm anymore and isn't, like, notoriously known for a strong arm. Taysom Hill actually has a pretty decent arm, and he also is a pretty accurate quarterback if last week showed us anything that – like is the reality of Taysom Hill. I still don't think the Saints will stick with him long term just because he is a lot older than most quarterbacks in the league right now. I think he's 29. So, I mean, if he continues to play at this pace, like nonstop for 6 years, then that's probably the most you'll get out of him because he'll be 34. So I just don't think or 35. I just don't think it's a longevity move. I think it's a good, if this is how he plays, then you know what? Like, honestly, if he continues to play at this level, you can have Drew Brees out the rest of the season and get healthy for the playoffs. The Saints are a team that I wasn't really – it's not that I wasn't high on. I just didn't know what they were because they were such a weird team to watch because they had a really weird start of the season. So I'm a lot higher on them now. I'll talk about them when we get into our NFL tier teams. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with Taysom Hill. I think it's gonna be like Michael Thomas obviously had a good game, but I think that's not a testament to Taysom Hill. That's a testament to Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas is just getting back into the groove of things after missing 8 games, I believe. Other people that have benefited. Oh, no, people that haven't benefited. Alvin Kamara. So that's the one thing that defenses can maybe take advantage of is you don't have to look at Kamara as much anymore because with a running quarterback, you're not going to check down to a running back. That's like how most offenses work. If you're a mobile quarterback, you don't check down to your running back. Like look at the Ravens. They don't check down to their running backs very often. You look at the Cardinals. They don't check down to their running backs very often. You look at the Patriots. I mean, they were notorious for checking down to running backs. And, Cam Newton, especially up until like last week, really didn't check down to running backs. I think the running backs were running deep routes. So teams with mobile quarterbacks really don't. The Bills, I think, have the least amount of passes to a running back in the entire league. So if you're a mobile quarterback, you're not going to pass the ball. So Kamara is no longer going to be seen as a receiver to defenses. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to be impacted. I am curious if they're going to run the ball more because, Kamara this year honestly has been more of a receiver than he has been a running back. A lot of people were comparing him to 2016, 2017 Le'Veon Bell because it was like he can run and catch the ball. But honestly, he was literally just a receiver this year who lined up in the backfield. That's kind of how I saw Kamara. Not saying he's not a great running back. He's top 2, top 3. I'm just saying that's how he came off this year because of his usage was mainly in the passing game. He was getting like 10 to 12 receptions every single game. So, yeah, I'm really curious. I do think that the Saints will probably win that division. After the Bucs lost on Monday night, I do think, I don't think that anyone, they probably will end up getting the 1 seed too, unless one of those NFC West teams sneaks in. Speaking of the NFC West, a team that has not gotten my respect nor the NFL's respect, and even still right now they're not really getting respect, are the Rams. I mean, I'm sorry, Los Angeles, you guys are a great team. I think 9-7 last year. You guys went 9-7 last year, and I think the fact that you guys didn't make the playoffs was oh, they're a bad team all of a sudden. And I think I even said this in one of my first episodes. I was like, yeah, the Rams, they're a good team. We just forget about it. And I forgot about it. So you know what? Honestly, I think the Rams are definitely, I don't know if they're a contender for the Super Bowl, but they're a challenger for the Super Bowl. I think they're a real threat. That defense is a top 5 defense in the NFL. I wholeheartedly believe that. It's up there with Pittsburgh. It's up there with, I don't know why I can't think of other defenses right now. Indianapolis. It's up Miami. I'd probably consider a top 5 defense. It's up there with those top defenses. And Jared Goff, we're not going to talk about wallet winners because we're going to talk about that later in the wallet winner section. But I said that when Jared Goff is uncomfortable, that's when the Rams perform badly. The Rams only used Jared Goff last week. This is all they used. It was all Jared Goff. They had 37 rushing yards. So I'm sorry, Jared. I was very wrong about that. The Buccaneers have a good defense, so you got to give. It's funny. Do you guys remember who was also taken in the same draft as Jared Goff? And people were like, "You're stupid, Los Angeles." You guys remember that? Yeah, Carson Wentz was taken after Jared Goff, and you know what? Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. Don't at me. He is. I know Carson Wentz had a really great season that one season. Probably should have won MVP. I was high on him too. Believe me, I love Carson Wentz. Jared Goff's a better quarterback. Put Carson Wentz on this team, and Jared Goff is doing better. Honestly, Carson Wentz just has way too many turnovers. But with their running game, which honestly, I've mentioned this quite a few times, it's really hard to plan for the Rams running game because you don't know which running back to plan for. So honestly, Brown, Henderson, or Akers could all go off at one point or another. So it's really hard to game plan. They have 2 amazing receivers. Both of them had 10 catches for 100 yards last game with Woods and Kupp. They have honestly 2 good tight ends in Higbee and Garrett? No, it's fine. I know it. I'm pretty sure it's Garrett. But they're both really good tight ends. If you put them on other teams, they're going to produce. I do think they just have so many weapons at the catching positions wide receiver, tight end, that you don't highlight them as much as the other star receivers. But I think you put them on other teams, they're probably going to ball out. I think Higbee's actually a really, really good tight end. So yeah, I'm really high on the Rams, and I definitely think. Okay, I'm just gonna give a spoiler. I think that they're gonna win the division. it's not that I don't like Seattle or Arizona anymore. I still like them both a lot. It's just the Rams are they're kind of Belichickian where they don't have a game plan for a season. They have a game plan for a game. So you don't know what they're gonna do. It's just impossible. I love Sean McVay too. Like he's such a smart coach. So yeah, give the LA Rams some respect. Give LA what they deserve, and that's respect. Speaking of LA, we're gonna transition over to the NBA. Not the Clippers, because why are we talking about the Clippers? Why are we talking about the Clippers? They haven't done they've done nothing. They've really okay, cool. You got Ibaka, good for you. No, the Lakers. So the Lakers had a amazing free agency, in my opinion. I think if you guys, I don't know if you guys look at I've been posting a couple of these like little just kind of like, hey, I'm gonna talk with the microphone. It's called talking to the camera. I just post those randomly. So if you want to check those out, I posted like 3 already. So go check those out. And I talked about the NBA draft in one. And I just kind of talked about the Lakers just like a little bit in it. But I want to deep dive into it because honestly, especially with the Klay Thompson injury, I don't know how the Lakers don't repeat this year. I'm going to be like 100, not even 100. I'm going to be 1,000% with you guys. I won't lie. I had a really bad take like one of the first episodes. I said that Portland was going to beat the Lakers in the playoffs. I was very wrong. I own that. I was wrong. But like honestly, the roster that Rob Pelinka, the Lakers are the Chiefs of the NBA. Where are you getting this money from? Where are you getting this money from? You were able to sign Montrezl Harrell. Like, I know the playoffs kind of like diminished how much he was going to be worth because he didn't perform how he'd been performing the regular season, but like that was still a pretty expensive contract. And then you guys just got Marc Gasol. So it's like, and then you also got Wesley Matthews. So, I mean, honestly, I don't understand how the Lakers don't repeat this season. Now here's the thing. If they don't get the 1 seed, that doesn't mean they're not going to repeat. Honestly, they're probably not going to get the 1 seed because there's going to be other teams vying for it. It would not surprise me if the Clippers got the 1 seed just because they're like, oh, look, we have more wins than the other LA team. That would not surprise me. But, like, honestly, I'm looking at the roster right now. And, I mean, I don't think that AD should be playing at the power forward position. I think they should play him at center because you can go deeper with your team. And honestly, that lets you start Trez at the power forward. And if you start Trez at the power forward, oh yeah, and Schroeder, they traded for Schroeder. Totally forgot about that part. So like, okay, cool. Let's put Schroeder at the point guard, Wesley Matthews as shooting guard, LeBron at small forward, Trez at power forward, and Anthony Davis at center. And then just off of the bench, you can have Marc Gasol, who's been like creating his own perimeter game over the past couple of seasons. You have, like him or hate him, you have Kyle Kuzma, who can play a forward position. Honestly, especially during the regular season, he's not horrible. He's more of a meme than he is actually horrible. You have Alex Caruso, who's probably going to take a next step forward. Like, you can do so many things with this roster, and honestly, this team is so... Oh, and KCP, yeah, they retained him somehow. So, yeah, I was talking to JP about this, and he thinks that they should have Trez and Schroeder come off the bench because, like, that's what they're used to. They're both used to, like, being 6 men. And so, in that case, I guess you would have Caruso start at point guard and Anthony Davis still at power forward and Marc Gasol at center. But, like, still, that's also a great idea because then you have a spark coming off the bench. So, Lakers, I don't know how you guys are doing this. I am extremely impressed. I say this about the NFL too, about how like when LA, Chicago, and New York are like all having great seasons and rosters in sports, like it feels like that. It feels like the league's back with the Lakers being this good right now. Like, the Brooklyn Nets, I know they're not really the New York team, that's the Knicks, but like with a team in New York being good, like it really does feel like the NBA is back. I really wish that the Klay Thompson injury hadn't happened. I mean, obviously none of us do, but like that just would have been such a big question mark because I wonder if they still would have made a different move or if they're just going to keep waiting. Like that's its own whole question mark and segment. But yeah, Lakers, you guys are going to repeat. I'm trying to think right now of any teams that can challenge you, and no, the Clippers cannot challenge you. No, the Warriors can't challenge you. The Kings made a move today to get Hassan Whiteside, which they'll be a playoff team, but they're not going to challenge you. The Portland Trail Blazers also look really deadly. They're not going to challenge you. There's no team, and then if we go to the Eastern Conference, the Bucks, they're not going to challenge them. The Heat probably won't get back to the finals. The Nets aren't going to challenge them because they only have 2 players. Everyone else is either like barely signed on or they're rookies on playing for like a minimum contract. Other teams in the East, the Magic, no, they're not. They're not going to. The Hornets, no. They'll be happy to make there's not a team that can challenge Utah. No, they can't. I'm sorry, but man, the Lakers look so good right now. And honestly, I'm not a LeBron hater. I really like LeBron. In my opinion, he's the greatest of all time. I think this is awesome for him too. Like when LeBron, that's another thing. When LeBron's doing great, the NBA is doing great. It's kind of how it operates. Or when LeBron hate is doing great, the NBA is doing great because people love to hate LeBron because just success bothers people. It's the same reason people like to hate Tom Brady. I hate the Patriots, but I don't hate Tom Brady. So I don't know. I'm really excited for this NBA season. I do wish that they weren't starting it so soon because I really feel bad for the NBA players because it just seems really unfair, especially for the teams that made the playoffs, or the finals, like the Heat and the Lakers. They're getting even less time to prep. So I don't know. I don't know what I just think. I just think that I'm excited for this upcoming NBA season, especially with just the way this Lakers team is looking. If they don't win the championship, then either an injury had to have happened, and I'll come back and look at this video and be like, yeah, that's what happened, or a massive out of nowhere team upset them, which would also be really, really cool. But yeah, so Lakers, please win the championship. I need to kind of get my NBA takes back a little bit better after that horrible Portland take. Coming up in the next leg, we're going to do the NFL tiers and possibly the wallet winners. I don't know. We'll see how long the NFL tiers last. What's up? Welcome back to the podcast. So if you missed it, in the last leg, we talked about the Taysom Hill decision, and we also talked about the Rams, and then we also talked about the Lakers. So, hey, go watch that. In this episode, and what is going on? Random, sounds coming out of my freaking apartment. In this leg, we're going to talk about the NFL tiers, my NFL tiers, I should say, how I rank teams. If you're new, I have 6 different levels. I have the dog shit level, I have the selling and rebuilding level, I have the looking in on the playoffs level, I have the playoffs level, the contenders level, and the Super Bowl level. The contenders level is not contending for the Super Bowl, it's more contending for the conference, they're contending to win that conference. So yeah, random voice break there. So biggest changes since the last time. Obviously I didn't do this last week because of unforeseen circumstances, so we're just gonna, when I'm referring to my last tier rankings, it's from 2 weeks ago. So the biggest changes, the most important changes, I'll say that, I had Baltimore in the Super Bowl contenders tier, and now they're just in the playoffs tier. Nope, I don't even have them as a conference contender because I think conference contending teams can game plan for the Ravens. I think the Ravens we know exactly what they are. They're a team running the Wildcat formation all the time, and they can't play from behind. I feel bad saying that because I really do like Lamar Jackson, and I used to I really did. I don't still not like them. I mean, as a Steeler fan, I kind of don't, but I respected their game from last year. But it's not translating this year because people have film on them. So if the playoffs come, it wouldn't surprise me if they're one and done another time. Also, hey guys, why don't you get your COVID protocols in place because you just ruined my team's bye week. Appreciate that. Thanks. Appreciate that. So petty. Other changes, I did drop Arizona from conference contenders to just playoffs. That division is just so good. I don't think Arizona's defense is good enough to put them into conference contention, especially if they're going to be playing in a wild card game. I don't think that Arizona will be good enough to win a bunch of games with a second-year quarterback. Not saying Kyler Murray can't do it. It's just their defense plus, they'll be a lower seed just because that's how it works as wild cards. You'll be playing an upper seed. So I really like them a lot. I'm really high on Arizona, but the St. Louis's, the New Orleans Saints, the Seattle Seahawks, honestly, the Packers, those are teams that I don't know if they could beat them in the playoffs. So I had to drop them for that reason. I also dropped Tampa Bay from Super Bowl contention, just a conference contention. I'm still skeptical on Tampa Bay. I was really high on them when I first started doing NFL tiers list, but I don't know. They're really starting to worry me. And that's not a good thing when you have a million different weapons on the offensive side and a really great defense. So they're probably going to get their stuff together this week. Well, they are going to get their stuff together this week, but I don't know, man. I had to move them down from Super Bowl contention just because of what we saw from the Rams. Speaking of the Rams, they moved up. They moved way up. I moved to contenders now, and if you were curious why, I talked about them in the first leg of the podcast. They're being slept on a lot. I think they're just not a flashy team. They're not a team that everybody... Oh, hold on. They're not a team that everybody kind of thinks about when they're thinking about... Because, I mean, I think using flashy is the perfect term. Because you got, like, the Chiefs who have Mahomes. Like, that's flashy. He's got that star-studded talent within him. You got the Steelers who have a star-studded defense. You have the Packers who have Aaron Rodgers, an MVP quarterback. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or MVP quarterback. Well, yeah, but also Hall of Fame quarterback. You have Tampa Bay Buccaneers who have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Tom Brady. You have the Saints who have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees, and they also have the situation with Taysom. Like, there's all these teams that have, like, a spotlight on for a certain reason. But it's like the Rams, it's like, they got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, but, like, they're not being super vocal. They're literally just, like, playing the game and winning. So I really like the Rams, so I moved on to contenders. Other changes, I know I was pretty high on the Titans, and then I dropped them down to looking into the playoffs, but I put them back in the playoffs. I think that win over Baltimore was a really, really big thing for them. And I like Vrabel as a coach, and I think Derrick Henry is one of the best running backs in the game right now. Their passing game does worry me because if they can't get Derrick Henry rolling, they don't have much of a passing game. So that's definitely a question mark. But I still think that they could beat other AFC teams. Like, if we're looking at teams that are in the playoffs right now, like the Browns, they can beat the Browns. The Ravens, we've seen them beat the Ravens. I think they could do it again. They play the Colts this week, so we will see in a rematch if they could do it. I do think that they could. The Raiders, I think they could do it too. Like, those are all teams that they could possibly face in the first round. So yeah, I think the Titans definitely deserve more respect than I was giving them last week. This isn't a big move, but the dog shit category only has 3 teams now. Because you know what, Giants? The Giants are starting to grow on me. I see the Giants very similar to how I saw the Miami Dolphins last year, which is not like a new take. Literally everyone says this, but like, I mean, it's so true. You look at them, you're like, oh, it's the Giants, and then you're like, you watch them play, you're like, oh, it's not horrible. And Joe Judge, he's establishing a real culture. They're doing this without Saquon Barkley. So, you know what? I really like the football team as well. So, I'm not sure which team I think will win that division. If I did have to pick one, I probably would pick the Giants because I like the Giants defense overall. I like the football team's front 7 better, but overall defense, I like the Giants. And also the Giants just kind of a better offensive identity. Football team doesn't really know what they're doing right now. Not that they know what they're doing, but they're having to constantly change their game plan because their quarterback situation has been changing. So good on you, Giants. You guys are up 1 tier. Other changes, I dropped Carolina from like looking into the playoffs. I dropped them to just rebuilding. Not really a shot, but the Teddy Bridgewater injury kind of put a halt in things. They technically could make the playoffs, I guess, as a wild card. Like, you look at, I have Minnesota as a looking into the playoffs team. So, I mean, I definitely could see Carolina looking into the playoffs in a couple weeks, but I don't know how they're going to perform PJ Walker under center. They played Detroit this week, so they could honestly win this game and then put themselves back in there if Teddy Bridgewater comes back next week, especially if they get, like, Christian McCaffrey back next week, then they can maybe be a wild card push. But I just don't know what they are with PJ Walker, so I dropped them down to rebuilding. Miami, I dropped. Yeah, I dropped them from playoffs. I dropped them only to looking into playoffs. And here's the reason why. I think we all got a little too hot on Tua. Myself included. We got a little too hot on him too fast. I think that's not saying he's not a good quarterback. I still think he will be a good quarterback. I just think he needs time to develop. We saw last week, like, he got benched, and they have a veteran in Fitzpatrick who, though he kind of was the reason they lost the game, he was also the reason that they were kind of put back into that game. So I'm not going to sell all my stock on Miami quite yet. There are just other teams that I like right now that could possibly get that wild card spot over the Dolphins, like the Browns, like the Titans, like the Ravens, like the Colts, like the Raiders. Like, there are teams that I just can see getting that spot over Miami. And you know what? That's not even, like, we're talking about Miami like, oh, they're not going to make the playoffs. Like, this is a bad thing. But, like, no one was expecting them to be this good. And there's no pressure on them because they have that Houston Texans pick, which is going to be a top 5 pick next year. Most likely either top 5 or top 10. So, like, yeah, they're fine. They're fine. If they don't make playoffs this year, who cares? They definitely were not expecting to when they started this season. So, good on you, Miami. I know I dropped you, but good on you. That is all of the changes that I made. I do think, okay, I'm going to talk about an underrated team. I have one underrated team, one overrated team. So the underrated team, I've already talked about them a lot, actually. I had a whole segment about them. But the Rams, I think they're the most underrated team in the NFL right now, especially just we're getting so close to the playoffs. Come on. Like, could the Rams beat the Packers? Yeah. Could the Rams beat the Saints? Yes. Could the Rams beat the Buccaneers? They did. Could the Rams beat the Cardinals? We will find out, but I do think so because they played each other twice until the season ends. Can the Rams beat Seattle? We've seen them do it. Like, they are a good team. That defense is honestly such a great defense, and Jared Goff is playing inconsistently, but better than we all expect him to do. So, I think the Rams are the most underrated team. And if I'm talking overrated team, I know I dropped them, and I know most people are selling stock on them right now, but they're still pretty hyped up. But that's the Ravens, man. I think the Ravens are the most overrated team right now in the NFL. In the NFL, but also just within like the playoff race itself. I don't think Kansas City is overrated. I think Pittsburgh is underratedly overrated. Like, no one talks about them, but when they do, they're like, Pittsburgh. Worst season schedule ever. So it's like they hate them, but they're also like, yeah, they're so great, but it's because they're so bad. So that's how they fall. I think the Packers could fall into the overrated category. I'm just not sure yet. I really like their quarterback, so I picked the quarterback over Lamar Jackson in that case. I love the Rams. I don't know about the Saints. I just don't know what they are right now. So can't mark them as underrated or overrated. I don't think the Bills are overrated because they're exactly what we think they are. They're just like in that middle. Buccaneers, honestly, after this week, if they do not have a great game, that they could take the mantle of overrated. But yeah, right now, wait, are the Buccaneers the overrated team? I'm going to tie it. I'm going to make it a tie. Yeah, I'm going to make it a tie. I'm going to say the Ravens and the Buccaneers are tied for the most overrated team. That's what I'm going to say. Until Buccaneers start like playing how we expect them to, which who knows when that'll happen. But yeah, I think that'd be the Rampa Bay Buccaneers. They're the most overrated team. Now let's get into wallet winners. Got 10 minutes left on the show. If you don't know wallet winners, I do betting in the NFL, and I try to tell you my 10 best picks. We're not going to talk about last week because I definitely did not go 0-5 last week because literally everything screwed me over, whether it was an overtime game or just spreads. So yeah, my first 0-5 week of the season though, so that's pretty good. My overall record, also not going to talk about it. 17-29. I hate it. We're going to get that up. I'm going to get that at least to 500 before the end of the season. Last week I went 0-5. My spread, not too bad. 19-22. Honestly, the thing that's killing my overall is because I do an upset of the week, and I'm 2-for-8 on upsets. So yeah, I had Seattle upsetting the Rams last week, which I still think was, or not last week, the week before. Wait, who was my upset of the week? Who was my upset of the week last week? Oh my God. Well, obviously it was not that memorable. Oh, it was Philadelphia over Cleveland, and they let me down hardcore. So yeah, I'm 2-for-8 on upsets. So if we take out the upsets, then I'm 19-for-22. That's not too bad. But let's do better this week. I like my spreads this week a lot. There was an extra spread that I was like, I want to add this one in, so I had to pick. So first one, New Orleans goes to Denver. All of my spreads are aways, I just realized. Literally every single spread I have is an away team. So that's really strange. New Orleans is a 5.5-point favorite going to Denver. I like that a lot. I think Denver's defense is not going to know how to game plan for Taysom Hill. I think the weapons on the offensive side for New Orleans are also great. Like, okay, Taysom Hill's struggling, just dump the ball off to Kamara. Oh, he's just struggling, give the ball to Michael Thomas. And also, New Orleans defense is really starting to get good. Like, their groove is being found, and they are really good. They are going to give Drew Lock a horrible time, and I don't think Melvin Gordon will even run for like 60 yards. So, yes, this is a blowout in my eyes. 31-17 New Orleans wins going to Denver. Next one, Las Vegas is going to Atlanta. Vegas is a 3-point favorite. I like Vegas, man. I really do. They're in my playoff tier, in my tier rankings, and you know what? They're a fun team to watch. I don't think they're a true challenger yet, but they're a fun team to watch, and Atlanta's defense is really, really bad, like horrible. Derek Carr's probably going to throw for 300 yards in this game. Josh Jacobs probably going to rush for 100 yards in this game. So 3 points is really small in my opinion. I do think if Julio Jones is out, then I can see why. If Julio Jones is in, then I can see why this is only 3 points. If Julio Jones is out, then this is definitely an easy bet for me. I just think the Las Vegas defense also has their issues. Their pass rush is a lot better than their secondary, so that's like the bright side of them. And they have like an okay run defense, but I mean, the Falcons don't really have a run game. So the only issue that I could see is Atlanta having Julio Jones for this game, but I don't think he's going to play. So 3 points, that's a lot. Vegas, you please win this for me. Last time I picked you guys, I'm pretty sure you let me down. So 30-20, I have Vegas winning this game. Third wallet winner. I always do this team because they're my team and I'm superstitious. And so far, every week I've done this, they've won. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't know, man. Baltimore going to Pittsburgh. I don't know. It's a division game. Pittsburgh's bound to lose. I don't think they're it's not that I don't. They're not going to go 16-0. They're going to lose at some point. Don't want it to be the Ravens, man, because they're just going to give us. They're never going to let us live that down. Like, oh, we beat the undefeated. It got moved to Sunday as well. They will be missing, like, even though the game got moved, they're still going to be missing J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram because they're on the COVID list. They can't play. They have. I don't know why I'm cracking so much. I'm 20 years old, not 12. They have COVID, so they can't play this week. I do think Lamar will have a better game than the last time he faced the Steelers, but not by much. And I do have the Steelers winning this, but Baltimore is +4. I like that. I like whenever it is like more than 3 in a division game. I like that, especially with 2 playoff level teams. I know I said Baltimore's overrated, but they're still a playoff team. So I don't have Baltimore winning, but I do have them covering the spread. This is a low-scoring game for the most part. I mean, Vegas has the over-under at 44, which kind of makes sense. I'd probably take the over by like a little bit because it'll probably – I mean, I have them reaching 47, so it won't surprise me if they reached 50. So, yeah, final score 24-23. Super close game. These games, Baltimore, Pittsburgh games, are always close. Even when Baltimore was bad or when Pittsburgh was bad, like, they were always close just because, like, these are 2 rivalries. And not upset day. That's Arizona goes to New England. Arizona's only a 2.5-point favorite. I know it's in New England, but like I think Vegas just is overvaluing New England as a team right now. New England is not the team that we're used to them being, and 2.5 points is very small. Like very small. I mean, I only have Arizona winning this game by 6, but they could win this game by 10-14. Like Kyler Murray could honestly have a feast in this game. I mean, you look at what Russell Wilson was able to do against New England. And if at the time Seattle's defense was good, they would have contained New England, and that game wouldn't have been so close. I think the current Arizona defense is better than what that Seattle defense was, so I think they'll do a better job of containing New England. And also, their defense is prepared for this. When you have a mobile quarterback, you face him in practices all the time. When you're facing against a mobile quarterback, you have a better game plan for that because you face a mobile quarterback consistently. So, yeah, I really like Arizona here. New England just doesn't have any weapons, and I mean, they're going to have to rely on Cam Newton and the short pass game for the most part because I don't think they're going to get anyone open on the backside with how the secondary for Arizona, even though they're not elite, they've been playing really good lately. So I like Arizona here a lot by 2.5 points. So they're going to win 27-21. And upset of the day, man, this game scares me mainly because I'm not going to lie to you guys, there was no good upsets of the week. Like, who was I gonna pick Denver to beat New Orleans? Was I gonna pick Jacksonville to beat Cleveland? Like, no, there was like the spreads were so bad. There was no upsets that I liked. This is the closest one, and if there was a team that would win the upset this week, it probably would be Tennessee. I mean, they won the upset last week against Baltimore. So, yeah, Tennessee's +152 going to Indianapolis. And I know Indianapolis won the last game. I think that's just going to be recency bias for Vegas and for bettors and just people watching the game. So I can see why. And also, Indianapolis just came off a huge win against Green Bay. I think the reason that the Colts are favored is because it's in Tennessee, or it's in Indianapolis. I think if this was in Tennessee, it'd probably be a 1-point favorite in Tennessee's way. But Tennessee's coming off of an even bigger win because that was a big win for them. I think that was a more important win because especially since it's a conference win rather than the Green Bay win that Indianapolis had. So I think they're going to ride that. I think even though I like Indianapolis' defense, I just think Tennessee, again, it's a divisional game. Tennessee is a great game plan. Corey Davis is getting much more involved, which opens up A.J. Brown, which then opens up Jonnu Smith, which then opens up the running game. So I can. This is a hard one because, man, the over-under was not nice. But I have it as a pretty high-scoring game, even though Indianapolis has a pretty good defense. I have Tennessee winning this very similar to Pittsburgh over Baltimore by 1 point, 31-30. That's probably gonna be one of the best games of the weekend. I honestly probably have 2 of the best games of the weekend here with Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Indianapolis and Tennessee. Like, those are 2 of the best games this weekend. So, yeah. New Orleans over Denver, Vegas over Atlanta, Arizona over New England, Pittsburgh over Baltimore covering, and Tennessee over Indianapolis. So, hey, I'm 17-29. Let's move that up to 22-29, please. I got about a minute left, so I just want to say again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate everything you guys have been doing for the podcast. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Can't wait to watch some football tomorrow. And yeah, I'm really excited for the December leg of uploading the podcast. I think that's going to be one of my favorite legs to do. I have so much planned for that. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I know Connor's getting sappy again, but I do appreciate it. I enjoy sitting down and recording these stupid little podcast episodes in my little living room with my friends who come on the show occasionally. So I appreciate that. You guys have a great weekend. Please stay safe. Please travel safe if you're traveling, like I said. And I hope nothing but luck and love to whatever team you have this week. Also, nothing but luck and love to whatever bets you guys put down. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.